Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you from back home in North Carolina. Well, I hope you liked my last trip from Dix Creek Gap, crossing over the Georgia state line into North Carolina and ending at Bly Gap. To find out how the rest of the trip went, stick around. All right, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning. Just got an update on the weather. It's going to get, there's a freeze warning in effect for tonight. Not good. If I'd known that, I probably would not have made the trip. I think I'm prepared for it. I guess I'm going to find out. I do have long johns, do have that extra sleeping bag. So hopefully that's going to keep me warm. Got my puffy as always. The big problem is going to be it's raining now and everything's going to freeze. So my socks will freeze. I got another pair of socks. Worst thing is that my boots are going to freeze. So I'm going to have to find a way to tuck them under my body or something like that tonight. So this will be a test. First time I've been out in freezing weather. So we'll see how that goes. Right now it's raining. I'm going to be hiking in the rain at least till 11, if not beyond. They're calling for it to move on out of here by 11. Don't know if that's going to happen, but it's a pretty dreary day out there, pretty foggy. So that's kind of how we're starting out the day. To get to, we're either going to have to go 8 miles to get to a shelter, or to the next one is like 15.6. So we got Sassafras Mountain to get over, Sharp Top to get over, a lot of climbs. It's going to be on a muddy, wet trail. So I don't know if I'm going to make that 15.6. If I don't, it'll definitely be a 4-day trip. We can get to that shelter there. Can't remember the name of it, but it's past standing. I think it's a Carter Gap shelter. That's it. If we get Carter Gap shelter, then we can then we'll be good for to get in on Sunday. Probably I'll be cold, wet, and miserable by that time, and want to be getting in. But good training for my upcoming through hike in, I guess that's going on 8 years now. So hopefully by that time we'll have better equipment. In any case, that's kind of what we're up against. Had a good night's sleep last night, as good as I can have on the trail. Tent held up pretty good. It didn't start leaking until I touched the side of it. Dumb, no better than that. But as usual, I sleep in fits and starts. But this time I had several hours at a time that I slept, so that worked out good. So I feel pretty restful. Just got to get to the next shelter, which is about 2 miles, 2.5 up the trail. And I need to check out their privy. So let's get going. Got to get break. Still got to go get my bear bag out of the tree, finish packing, and get this tent down. So I've still got 20-30 minutes ahead of me. Breakfast will consist of protein bars this morning till I get to that till I get to the shelter where it's dry. All right, probably won't film on the trail. Probably won't talk to you again until we get to the shelter. That's a Muskrat Gap shelter, I believe. All right, talk to you then. All right, so I broke camp. We're out of here. See if I can make this shelter in the next hour and a half or so. It's not really raining hard now, but it is enough to make you miserable. I don't know, I'm not miserable, I'm on the trail, but my only concern is tonight, everything I got on me is going to freeze. Of course, everything also got a lot of water weight from everything being wet, so that means I'm probably more like 36 pounds now. So the going's going to be tough.
Anyway, we're going Charlie Mike. See you at the shelter. Well, this is what my view lot looks like. Right now, I've come up over Sharp Top. I hope that was Sharp Top. Because if it wasn't, Sharp Top's really gonna suck. But that was a behind kicker for sure. You know, on these trips, and sorry for the wind, it is what it is. But so often on these trips, I don't record my random thoughts enough, and I always regret that. So one of the things that I'm contemplating, and I'll get back to you after I get rid of this hub. Okay, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by the up. So, I got to thinking, I got a weather alert on my phone that said Hiawassee area, which I started near Hiawassee, has a weather alert. Temperature's supposed to get down to 28 degrees tonight. Caution, crops may freeze at high altitudes or upper elevations, whichever one it said. Okay, well, I'm not a crop, but I'll certainly freeze. So, I'm thinking, contemplating, do I need to call a shuttle from one of the other trailheads and get me back to Rock Gap? Now, would I call this trip a failure? No. Preparatory trip for my through hike. So what happens when we do experimental preparatory things? You know, we're going to have some failures. Not everything in life can be a success. So even our failures are a success. Look at Thomas Edison. You know, his famous quote of, it took you 2,000 or whatever times it took to invent the light bulb, and he said, nope, it took me 2,000 times of trying how not to invent the light bulb. So he didn't count that as a failure. And of course it's not, because we got lights. But same thing for me. So if I have to bail, I'm not going to count it as a failure. My biggest concern is that as you know, my sleeping bag is experimental right now, and did not work so good last night. If I had not had my liner, I would have been in big time trouble. It was only in the probably upper 40s last night, maybe warmer than that, and might have been in the lower 50s. But if I hadn't had my liner, my thick liner, I would have been in trouble. I wouldn't have made it. Well, I would have made it, but it wouldn't have worked for me. So didn't have to get the additional sleeping bag I brought, but still, I was a little chilly in it, even with the liner at times. So the biggest thing for me in freezing is that I don't have any gloves. Now, I could use my wool socks and those would work, but they would be frozen. And what I really need is some type of waterproof or some type of nothing else, some covers to go over a pair of gloves to keep them from freezing. Don't have that. Don't have any gloves. So that's my concern, is my hands packing up in the morning, being really, really cold and miserable. Now I could take a little bit of misery, but there's also the other factor, is I'm not real sure that even with 2 sleeping bags, 2 what I would call summer sleeping bags, that's going to be enough. I got my puffy, I can put that on, and then I'm down to putting my rain pants on, which are probably going to be wet if they don't dry out, so that could be a problem. So I'm not really feeling the desire to risk it right now. I may talk myself into it as we go. We'll just have to see. You know, there was if you Google plastic surgery failures, there was a famous songwriter that would show up. I'm not going to say his name, don't want to trail shame him. Don't want to shame him at all. There's a famous songwriter who's also in a Geico commercial. That gives you a hint. It says you got to know when to hold them, you know when to fold them. So I'm still contemplating that. Probably 60 to 70% I'm going to fold them. We'll just see. Depends on what the weather changes between now and then, and also where my bailout points are. And also if I can make it to that Carter Gap shelter, because that'll shorten my day on tomorrow if I get that far. If I don't get that far, then I'm probably will fold them. Anyhow, there's just some random thoughts as I'm hiking through the woods of North Carolina. Hey, did accomplish that this trip. Finished Georgia. I can come back and do this trip some other time. It's going to be decent weather, or not, at least not freezing weather. Rain doesn't bother me. Cold weather does. But, you know, I'm going to have to deal with it eventually. But I can always come back and do a quick weekend and connect this wherever I bail out to Rock Gap, if I do bail, and make that a quick weekend trip. Maybe even just an overnighter. And finish up all the way from the southern terminus of the AT at Springer Mountain to the Knock. That'll probably be, I don't know, it might be spring or might be, we'll just see if we get an Indian summer sometime, if that occurs. Tune in later. Okay, so it's official. I have folded them, and I just left Muskrat Creek Shelter. Got a 4-mile hike to do in 2.5 hours. Is that right? No, 2.5 hours. Got to be doable to Deep Gap, where I've got Zen, who runs Gooder Grove Hostel. It's going to be picking me up. Taking me to Rock Gap, pick up the truck, and I'm going to be off the trail. So, excited to live to fight another day, and looks like it's kind of be yucky all day today with no views, and then plus tonight it's going to be 28 with very, very windy, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. So I didn't care about being in a shelter somewhere with those kind of winds, everything wet, and waking up in the morning, everything frozen. So I am going to be getting off the trail. It's not a failure for me, it's a success, because one, I got out here and enjoyed my time, even though it was only 24 hours, give or take. But also learned to maybe come a little better prepared even when the weather's pushing it, or not push the weather. And I also learned about my sleeping bag for my final review part due of my Aegis Max sleeping bag. And that'll be on a different video. So I am heading on. Got a few ups before I get there. Right now I'm got on a slight incline, but doing good. Got me something to eat. That was the main thing. Got some food in my belly, and I will let some protein. Should be good from here on out. Did lose a water bottle. Always lose something on the trail. At least it was just a water bottle. Plenty of water sources. I could just lick a leaf if I got desperate. All right, chat with you later. So it was only supposed to rain 1/10 of an inch originally, and that's one reason why I decided to come ahead and go this weekend. If I'd known it was going to rain more than that, probably would not have, but obviously I feel like it's rained more than that, probably an inch or so. I'll check the weather forecast to let you know when I get back. So
well, I'm back home in North Carolina. I did wind up getting picked up at Deep Gap by Zen from Gooders Grove Hostel. That worked out fine. Made arrangements from Muskrat Creek Shelter. I had a good cell service signal there, and he was able to meet me, and we rendezvoused, and I didn't have to wait but about 15 or 20 minutes for him. So that worked out great. Plenty of parking, good fire road there for him to drive up there and get to me. So it was just a short trip from there over to Rock Gap. It only took us about probably about 20 minutes. It wouldn't have taken near as long, but it's a long ride from the Blacktop up Forest Service Road to get to Deep Gap. In any case, that worked out fine. Came home that night, and I feel like I made a great decision because I looked at the weather, what was going on, and the folks that I saw heading up the mountain as I was coming down. They really got hit hard with cold weather, high wind, and a lot of rain. So felt like I made the right decision, and I was happy with that. And I look forward to getting back out on the trail another day, hopefully before the end of the year, and finishing up that trip to ending up at Rock Gap. So it's only about probably around 12 to 15 miles from Deep Gap to Rock Gap, so I can do that in an overnighter. If I got there early enough, might be able to do it in a day, but I'll probably make it into an overnighter. But in any case, had a great trip. Look forward to getting back out on the trail. If you got something out of this video, give me a thumbs up. Hit my face at the end of this video and subscribe to my channel. And as always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out there.